Hey guys, today's video script was provided by none other than Mr. Bushido himself. This is part of a new format I'm calling Community Theories, where you, my viewers, can share your theories with me and I'll turn them into full videos. I'll tell you more about how it works at the end of the video, but for now, let's get into it. Let's talk about the 2D clans and how Irish mythology might explain everything in one piece. Alright, I know what you're thinking. This dude's lost it. He's mixing One Piece with Irish mythology now. And to do that, I say, yes, let me cook, or more or less, let Mr. Bushido cook. You remember the mural Frankie found in chapter 1138? The one that mentions how the people of the half moon had a dream, and the people of the full moon had a dream too? Yeah, that weird poetic stuff? Turns out it might be the key to everything. Because what if I told you there are actually 2D clans? 2 lineages, 2 philosophies, 2 dreams, and their roots might go all the way back to Ireland. No, seriously. Let's start with the Half Moon people. I believe, like many others do, that this refers to the will of Dee. But here's where it gets wild. In Irish culture, Dee is actually a patronymic prefix. Basically, it's something added to a name to show what family you belong to. Like, if your dad was Eric the Viking and your name's William, you'd be William Eriksson. That's why Thor calls Agent Coulson son of Cole in the MCU. Yeah, that kind of thing. So now let's take a detour, a Celtic detour. Because Irish mythology has some insane parallels to One Piece. There's this ancient story about a race of demonic pirates invading Ireland, led by a giant with a deadly eye called Balor of the Evil Eye. This guy literally had an eye that could see across the land, making sneak attacks almost impossible. And fun fact, he inspired the Eye of Sauron in Lord of the Rings. Now, Balor's enemies? A divine tribe of warriors called the Tuatha De Danann. In English that means the children of Danu, and yes, Dee literally means God. And by the way, excuse me if I pronounce all these words wrong, Mr. Bushido, but I'm not an Irish person, nor a Celtic one, so bear with me please. Anyway, let's go on. Now let me introduce you to Cian, son of Dian. This dude was a warrior who could control the wind using druid magic. Sounds familiar? Dragon anyone? So here's where things gets even more One Piecey. Balor, the evil eye giant, one day sees a prophecy through his freaky vision power. The druids are talking and they say his own grandson will rise up and kill him. Balor freaks out, locks his daughter Eithne in a tower surrounded by only female guards, hoping to prevent his future from ever happening. But Cian, with help from druid magic, gets a cloak that lets him move unseen by Balor's eye. Basically an invisibility buff. Sneaks into the tower to assassinate Balor, but instead he finds Eithne. They meet, they talk, they fall in love, and boom, she gets pregnant. Their son is born. She names him Lugh. Lugh equals bright or light in Irish. Now get this. Balor is pissed. He tosses the baby into a whirlpool trying to erase the prophecy. But Cian, the wind warrior, swoops in at last second and saves his son. Sounds familiar? Yeah, like Luffy nearly falling into a whirlpool in chapter 1. We are just getting started. Cian's too busy fighting Balor and his forces, so baby Lugh gets raised by others. Different stories say it was 4 people, but the most common version, he's raised by Tailtu, a queen who becomes like a mother to him. And also by Manannán mac Lir, god of the sea and ruler of the underworld. This dude teaches Lugh how to survive, how to fight, how to master the world around him. So to sum up, a warrior born from prophecy, raised by a queen and a sea god, known for his mischief and combat skills, gets a magic spear that always returns to him and can light on fire. Earns the title Lugh of the Long Arm, eventually leads the gods into battle and defeats Balor by shooting out his eye with a slingshot, and becomes the Sun God. All of this was a very quick simmered down version of the actual story, but do you see the parallels? Cian equals dragon, Lugh equals Luffy. The wind powers, the whirlpool, the flame abilities, the stretching arm imagery, even the comedic personality paired with heroism, it's all there. I really cannot explain the whole story of Luth and everything around him to you because that would take too long, but trust me, Bushido did his groundwork and what he's saying is true. All these things that I just summed up are really abilities or things that happen in the story that are related to Luth and the people around him. So this really parallels One Piece quite a lot. And we are not even done yet because the enemy, Balor, is probably Emu or maybe rocks. Either way, it fits. And then there are the Tuatha Dé Danann, which are a supernatural race in Irish mythology. They are literally the children of Dee. They are your will of Dee right there. And here's something else. Ireland was conquered by Britain 900 years ago, but they regained their independence around 100 years ago. And that's just like the Void Century timeline in One Piece. Coincidence? Maybe. But you know Oda, nothing is ever just coincidence. And now here's the kicker. To convert the Irish to Christianity, the British took the Celtic sun god symbol, a circle, and combined it with the Christian cross. The result? The Celtic cross. A sun trapped by a cross. Looks familiar? Because Oda loves symbolism. And I don't think it's a stretch to say this might have inspired the entire iconography around Emu, the world government, and even the ancient weapons. Alright, we covered the Half Moon people, aka the Will of Dee. Now let's talk about the Full Moon people, because if I'm right, we're not just talking about a Dee clan, we're talking about two. Yeah, Oda might have given us two types of Dees. And if that's true, then there's also a Will of O. So let's get into it. You remember when Rock said he was a Davy Jonesian pirate? I think that's the real thing. And it's a callback to Romance Dawn, Oda's one-shot before One Piece. In that version, there were two types of pirates, the evil ones called Morganese and the good ones called the Peace Mains. Sounds familiar? Because I think the Will of Dee is split just like that. The Joy Boyans, freedom-loving, goofy, kind-hearted, and the Davy Jonesians, determined, powerful, borderline unhinged. The Joy Boy type Dees are the one who love no matter what. They value adventure, friendship and helping others. Think of Jaguar de Salt, Professor Clover. Then there's the Davy Jones type Dees. These are the driven ones, the conquerors, the ones who once they lock onto the goal cannot be stopped. Think of Law, Blackbeard, maybe Ace? Now here's the crazy part. You remember what Roger told Rayleigh before he died? He said, "My son will find the One Piece one day," and Rayleigh replied, "You don't have a son." But Roger went, "I will." Roger left the crew, found Rouge, and boom, Ace was born. But here's the key. Ace is the only confirmed child of two D-Clan members, Goldie Roger and Porgas de Rouge. That's not just cool trivia, that's a massive deal, because maybe whatever Roger saw at Loveday told him, only someone with both D bloodlines, a full moon person, can fulfill the prophecy. Ace was supposed to be that person, but of course, it didn't work out. Ace died. The plan failed. But look closer at Ace. His head has two faces on it, one smiling, one frowning. That's the duality. Joy Boy versus Davy Jones, light versus dark, freedom versus power. Ace was both, and that might have made him the key to uniting the two clans. Now hold up, we're not done. Let's jump back to the Irish stuff again, because this gets even crazier. We talked about patronymic prefixes like D, but in Ireland there's another one, O, like O'Hara. Yeah, O'Hara, the island of the scholars. Now, add an apostrophe between the O and the H, and suddenly O'Hara becomes O'Hara. And that's a real Irish name with a crazy history. The O'Hara clan traces back to, okay, I will try to pronounce this correctly, Ada Popli Machsurchus. Yeah, don't ask me to pronounce that twice. And Mac or Mac in Irish literally means son of, so we've got a real clan of sons of Hara. And here's the right connection. Hara or Echara was the king of Luichne Connacht. Connacht being an actual Irish province. And guess what? The O'Haras were said to descend from Luch. Yeah, that Luch. The Irish sun god. The one we already connected to Luffy. So now we have O'Hara equals scholars plus descendants of the sun god. And you know what else? Let's talk about the characters from O'Hara. Saul the giant, right? Well, Saul is also a town in Ireland. Why is that interesting? Because it's the spot where St. Patrick arrived and built the first Christian church in Ireland. It's also where he died and was buried. Okay, and then we got Clover, the head scholar, a man whose head literally looks like a shamrock, the national plant of Ireland. His name in some translations isn't even Clover, it's Claimoch, the Clover, or Claiomh, is Irish for sword. Bushido, really, I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing all of this wrong, but that's on you. You didn't provide any pronunciation guidance, okay? So sorry about that. Anyway, let's move on. Now, O'Hara was the home of the Tree of Knowledge, a massive library built to preserve the world's history. And in Ireland, there's a real-life organization called Claim that does the exact same thing, preserving Irish history. Coincidence? Again, maybe, but the dots are getting a little too close. And here's one more bombshell, Vivi. Did you know that Vivi could also be interpreted as 66 in Roman numerals? Now, in Mesopotamian mythology, the sky god Anu has 66 names. And guess what Vivi does? She brings the rain to Alabaster from the sky. Sky, rain, fertility. In Irish mythology, Anu is another name for Danu, the mother goddess, the same goddess that Tuatha Dé Danann are named after. That's the Dee clan again. And we already know Vivi's ancestor Lily was a Dee. So now it's like Luffy equals descendant of Lugh, sun god. Vivi equals descendant of Danu, earth mother goddess. O'Hara equals descendants of the Dee clan. And the Dee clan equals maybe an Irish coded bloodline of rebellion, knowledge and legacy. So reading all this, I'm starting to think Oda studied Celtic mythology for breakfast. We talked about the two Dee clans, one symbolized by the half moon, one by the full moon, and how their stories might reflect ancient Irish mythology. But we are not done yet, because now we need to talk about Nico Robin. Ever wonder why Oda named her Nico Robin? Let's break that down for a second. Nico might sound Japanese, but it could also come from Neocolas, the Irish version of Nicholas, which means victory of the people. And Robin, well, that's more than just a bird. In Irish superstition, the robin is believed to carry the spirit of the dead. Yeah, you heard me. It's said that when someone dies, a robin may appear to their loved ones as a sign that the person's spirit is safe in the afterlife. So what does that mean in the world of One Piece? Nico Robin literally carries the will of the dead, the will of the scholars of O'Hara, the will of the people who sought the truth. She's their last living memory. She's not just a survivor, she's a messenger. She doesn't just read poneglyphs, she speaks for the lost. She is the Robin. And while we are at it, let's talk about trees. The scholar of O'Hara lived under the Tree of Knowledge. That was no coincidence. In Irish mythology, there's a sacred symbol called the Crann Bethad, the Tree of Life. Its roots reach into the underworld. Its branches stretch into the heavens. It connects past, present and future. In Celtic tradition, when a new village was founded, they would plant a sacred oak in the center to represent this tree of life. But in times of war, the enemy's goal was to burn that tree down. Because when the tree falls, the soul of the village dies with it. Sounds familiar? That's exactly what happened to O'Hara. The world government didn't just burn books, they tried to destroy the memory of the Dee clan, of Joyboy and the ancient truth. But they failed. Because Nico Robin lives and she's carrying the will of the Tree of Knowledge, just like the Robin carries the spirit of the dead. And maybe, just maybe, that tree in O'Hara, that was Joyboy's doing. Maybe Joyboy built that library himself, as a way to preserve history in case Imu's plan worked, because Joyboy knew what was coming. He saw the rise of the Dark King. Now, remember the full moon people we talked about earlier? If I'm right, then Ace wasn't just Portgas the Ace, he was also an O. As in Portgas O Ace, or maybe even Ace-O Portgas. Which means Ace wasn't just a D, he was born from both clans, and that makes him a hybrid. Think about it, Ace had the traits of both sides. He was wild, chaotic, a conqueror, Davy Jones style, but also friendly, adventurous and loyal, Joyboy style. Bro was unhinged at times, but he also had that smile, that fire, that heart, just like Luffy. And speaking of hybrids, let's talk Blackbeard, because he might be an O2. He's got a big old smile, the dreams, the chaos, but he's also a straight up conqueror. The dude wants everything. And we know his mother might have been a D. And his father? Roxy Sebek. That makes him a literal child of both D bloodlines, just like Ace, just like Luffy might be. Because yes, if I'm going all in here, Luffy might also be an O. And I'm not just saying that because it sounds cool. I think Luffy's mother is a D. And not just any D, but a Rox D. That's right, a descendant of Rox. But that's a theory for another video. Unless you guys smash that like button, subscribe and comment to make me cover it. Do it! Force my hand, I dare you! Anyway, let's go cosmic for a second. In Japan, there's a sacred symbol called the Anso. It's a circle drawn in one fluid motion, representing completeness, balance and the full cycle of life. Now check this out. Opening 25 of the One Piece anime focuses heavily on circles. I'm serious, go rewatch it, it's everywhere. The sun, the moon, the head, the One Piece logo, even Luffy's stride looks like a rising sun when viewed from above. This isn't random, this is symbolism. The D-clans? They represent the dawn and dusk, the beginning and the end of the cycle. But the O-clan? That's when the sun is at its peak. That's noon, the center point. Now let's bring the Minks into this. Remember how Zou was ruled by two kings? Inuarashi, ruler of the day, and Nekomamushi, ruler of the night. They couldn't even speak to each other without fighting, so they literally split their society in half. Day Minks and Night Minks. Except for Wanda and Carrot, who acted as messengers between both sides. See the symbolism? Two divided clans, only a messenger or hybrid can bring them together. And yes, I'm saying it now. Carrot will be Nakama. Stop, Bushido.
Stop it. Get some help.
I can't believe he made me say this. Listen guys, this is Mr. Bushido's agenda, okay? He is full on Carrot for Nakama agenda, okay? So, yeah, that's that. Anyway, let's go on. Also, Carrot stands with Sengoku's goat in 2 volume covers, among the future Yonko. Goat, rabbit, Yonko. Oda said he wanted to show the world that rabbits and goats can be dangerous, and guess what? Oda is a Capricorn, that's a goat. And he was born in 1975, the year of the rabbit. Bro literally made himself the final boss, I'm telling you. Next up, we are heading to space. Yeah, I said it. The origin of the D-clans, the Arc Maxim, the forgotten civilization Enel discovered. And the 3 gods, Nika, Goka and Muka. So, you thought the D-clans and O-clans were deep? Nah, we're just scratching the surface, because now we're going to the moon. Remember Enel's cover story where he flies off in his Arc Maxim and finds an ancient civilization on the moon? Yeah, that wasn't filler. That was Oda dropping the biggest lore bomb ever, and most people just ignored it. But not us. Here's what I believe. The Minks, they didn't just evolve on Zou, they came from the moon. Sounds insane? Let me explain. When Enel landed on the moon, he found and destroyed city powered by electricity. That's literally what the Minks' electro powers are based on. They shoot lightning from their bodies, and the Sulong transformation they use, that's triggered by the full moon. So let's connect the dots. What if the Minks were once enslaved on the moon, used as living batteries by the ancient Birkins, and one day they rose up, because 2 figurines appeared, one bringing liberation, the other bringing destruction. Their names? Nika and Goka. You already know Nika, the sun god, bringer of freedom and laughter. The guy whose will eventually passes down to Joy Boy and then Luffy. But Goka? Let's talk about her for a second. Remember Fishman Island? There were those 5 sisters. Ichika, Nika, Sanka, Yonka, and Yonka too? Wait, what? If you're counting in Japanese, Ichi, Ni, San, Yon, Go, then the 5th sister should be named Goka, but she wasn't. It's like Oda purposely avoided saying that name. Why? Because Goka might be a cursed name, the name of a destroyer, a chaotic force, the moon god, counterpart to Nika. Now look at their family name, Medeka. Medeka is the name of a Japanese rice fish, but if you break it down, the word Meda in Greek is tied to rulership, and Andromeda, the closest galaxy to ours, means ruler of mankind. So what if Medeka isn't just a cute name? What if it hints that this fish family comes from rulers of a forgotten cosmic age? And here's where it gets really crazy. According to this theory, Nika stood for liberation and joy, the sun. Goka represented anarchy and destruction, the moon. And then there was a third force, the one who ruled the people with order and control, Muka, the god of earth. These three didn't get along. In fact, they clashed hard. According to the theory, they fought for domination, and the outcome of the ancient war is what shaped the world of One Piece as we know it. Their wills didn't vanish, they got passed down. Nika's will went to Joy Boy and eventually to others. Goka's will went to Davy Jones and then others. Muka's will was preserved through Imu and the ruling elite. And yeah, it gets even crazier, because Oda once said, everyone lives in circles, the sun, the moon and the earth. He wasn't just being poetic, that was a full-on roadmap. Let's fast forward to today. You've got Luffy, who clearly embodies Nika, the laughing, stretching and dancing sun god figure. Then you've got Blackbeard, who's all about domination, darkness, chaos. The pirate who'll do anything to get what he wants. He's the Goka type. And finally Imu, who hides in the shadows, rules from the throne and literally tries to erase anyone who knows too much. That's Muka's energy all day long. These three figures, Luffy, Blackbeard and Imu, are the modern avatars of those ancient forces. And the theory says this: they must duke it out, and the winner will decide how the world will operate. We are not just watching a story about pirates anymore, we are watching the replay of a cosmic war. The will of D? It's not one will, it's two, or maybe more. Descendants of Nika and Goka, the sun and the moon. And when those bloodlines mix, when D meets D, or D meets O, something wakes up, something returns. And the one who stands atop, whether it's Luffy, Blackbeard or even Imu, will set the founding principle for the fourth world, the next cycle of history. A world built not on justice as we know it, but on whatever ideology wins in the end. Sun, moon, earth, joy, destruction, control. Let the final battle begin. Alright, thanks again to Mr. Bushido for this amazing script. I know this was a lot to take in. There are many weird names that are unknown to us, but it's a really interesting take and it's worth looking into it, I promise. And one more word towards the community video project. As I already said, if any one of you has a script or an idea for a theory that he wants to provide to me and wants me to make a video out of it, feel free to reach out to me over the Discord. The link to it is in the description. But I cannot pay you because this channel is literally earning no money. So all you can get with this is the fame of my small subscriber base. But if that's cool enough for you, then go for it. Anyway, one more time, thank you very much, Mr. Bushido, for providing the script. And I hope you guys had fun with it. And maybe you want to look further into this. I hope you had fun and see you next time, guys. Bye.